Let's go and take a look at the next question. That says solve for y. Okay, so 4.2x minus 1.4y equals 2.1. Okay, so because we're trying to solve for y, let's make this a different color so we know that we're trying to solve for y. All right, so because we're trying to solve for y, let's protect this stuff that's attached to the y for right now. And we see there's a plus 4.2x, right? That's a positive 4.2x. Okay, so moving this over here, we'd have to subtract it because it's already positive. Okay, so let's subtract 4.2x onto the other side. Okay, so we're left with negative 1.4, and we'll make the y right there in a second. Let's put this first because normally the x's come first before numbers in an equation. Okay, and then we have a y, right? So if we were to get y by itself, we know that this is multiplication because a number and a letter, when they're next to each other, that's multiplication. So the opposite of that is division. So we got to divide out negative 1.4 from both sides. Okay, and this would cancel, and we would be left with y equals negative 4.2. And then we can separate this as negative 4.2 divided by negative 1.4 x, and then 2.1 divided by negative 1.4. Okay, so negative 4.2 divided by negative 1.4 is 3, right? You could put that in your calculator, you'll get 3. So 3x. And then when you put this in your calculator, you'll get negative 1.5. Okay, because 2.1 divided by negative 1.4, different signs, so the answer is negative. We'll have this as a final answer. All right, let's go and take a look at the last question. Okay, so 6y minus 1.5x equals 8. Okay, so again, we're trying to solve for y, so let's make this red so we know that we're trying to solve for it. Okay, and because we're trying to solve for y, let's protect this stuff and not touch it. Okay, we see that there's a negative 1.5x, and so the opposite of negative is positive 1.5x. That's a 5, right? And add it to this side. Okay, so like we know, normally the term with an x comes first. So we'll write this as 6. I'll write the y in there in a second. So 8 plus, 1.5x. Normally the term with the x comes first. So 1.5x plus 8. Okay, so this is 6y equals 1.5x plus 8. Okay, so this is 6 times y because a number and a letter, when they're next to each other, is multiplication. So we got to divide out 6 from both things. Okay, when we do that, we'll get y equals, and we can separate this as 1.5 over 6 x plus 8 over 6. Okay, so what we'll notice is that these both numbers can be divided by 3, and 1.5 divided by 3 is 0.5. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, if you were to put this in a calculator, you would have gotten 0.25 because 1.5 divided by 6 is 0.25. Okay, so we could say that like this instead. And then when we simplify this, when you put this in a calculator, it's both of these can be divided by 2. Okay, and that would make it 4 over 3, which is the same thing as 1.25.